What if I told you the idea of men's financial dominance is one of the biggest myths you've been ever sold? Today I'm going to give you the 5 main reasons to understand why this is happening. And trust me, the facts are going to surprise you. Despite what mainstream media and popular culture might throw at you as information, men on average are actually worse off financially than women. And if you stick around till the end, I promise I'll also reveal the stats and studies to back every claim I make in this video. What I'm about to say seems counterintuitive, especially when we're continuously being told that men still earn significantly more compared to women. I mean, we earn almost double what the women make, right? Wrong, my brothers. According to data from the US Census Bureau, the 2021 female-to-male earnings ratio was 0.837. So it's fair to say there is a pay gap. Women are making on average 84% of what the men are making. But the bigger picture here is that the gender pay gap is rapidly shrinking. Pew Research Center published in March 2023 their findings on the subject. When looking at data all the way back to 1980, the median hourly earnings of US women stood at 65% of what the men were making, only to steadily climb to 82% in the early 2020s. But if we look at the parity for male and female workers ages 25 to 34, we can see that the gap is soon to completely close, women making 92% of what the men are making today. Another study published in 2023 showed that women are more likely than men to say they would not like to be bosses in their organizations, with 46% of all working women and 42% of all working mothers not wanting to be top managers where they worked. What do fathers do instead? They take it on the chin and do what they need to make that promotion happen, with only 27% of fathers not wanting to become bosses. In many analysts' perspective, that's one of the ways the gender pay gap gets fueled. So I've concluded that we as men earn more, but here's the kicker. Man's wealth, what we actually own and dispose of after all the bills have been paid for and liabilities have been settled, is lower than women's wealth. How can this be possible? It's a common belief that earning more money automatically means you're better off. Yes, this is true, but on average, as demonstrated before, men still out-earn women. This is often highlighted in discussions about gender pay gap and workplace equality. But here's the thing, earning more doesn't automatically make you a financial wizard, especially if you're spending it all or almost all. Real wealth isn't about how much money you bring in. It's about how much money you save and, of course, invest wisely. It's about what you keep after all those lovely bills and expenses have come knocking. While men might be bringing in the big bucks initially, we often end up shouldering a heftier financial burden when, let's say, life throws a wrench in our system. After a divorce, we as men are often hit with a triple whammy of financial obligations. Child support, alimony, payments, and that pesky mortgage on the house we might not even live in anymore. These obligations can drain finances very quickly. It's like paying for a vacation you're not even on. That financial strain can feel almost never-ending. According to a Pew Research Center study just out in November this year, among unmarried adults, women without children have a slightly higher wealth when compared to single men. The median wealth of unmarried women without kids stands at $87,200, while the median wealth of unmarried men stands 6% lower at $82,100. This disparity is surprising from the get-go, given the highly publicized and infamous gender pay gap rhetoric. So even though men are initially earning more money, I've just showed how the income versus net worth illusion actually plays out for men, where earning more doesn't always translate to having more. By the way, before I continue, just want to make something clear. I'm not looking to sell my audience anything. I'm just a tech entrepreneur putting my heart and soul on the platter for you during my spare time, usually after office hours like now, to create content that can help men easier decipher the world around, share my views and experience on human relationships, intersexual dynamics, business, and leveling up your life in general as a man, so that you can be in a better position when deciding where and when to place your emotional and financial investments. So if you feel you're getting value out of my content, please do me a solid favor and hit the like and subscribe buttons down below. This is a very simple and free way to tell me that my efforts are valuable to you. It helps spread the message out to other men that might need to hear it. Now, let's get back to our topic. Men's obligations to support others financially, particularly after a divorce, plays a significant role in explaining why their higher earnings don't necessarily result in greater wealth. These obligations can severely impact our financial stability. It's like trying to win a powerlifting contest while staying natural when all your opponents are on steroids. All the odds are stacked against you. Sure, you might be able to bench press 220 for some reps, but in the end, you're not walking away with the trophy. As stated clear, divorce can be financially messy for everyone involved, often leading to significant financial strain and emotional stress. But let's be honest, when it comes to the legal system and its impact on finances, it's often men who end up holding the short end of the stick. Divorce proceedings often tend to favor women, particularly when it comes to asset division and custody arrangements, leaving men at a clear disadvantage. In a majority of divorces, women are more likely to be granted custody of the children, which can further complicate the financial responsibilities for men. Along with that comes the often hefty financial responsibility of child support, which can be a significant burden on a man's finance. And as if that wasn't enough, there's also alimony to consider. You know, those ongoing payments made to an ex-spouse to help maintain their standard of living. And adding, not only do men often end up paying child support and alimony, but they also typically lose the family home in the process. They're often left paying for a house they no longer live in, while also having to find and finance a new place for them to live. This creates a rather unfortunate cycle. Men are working their asses off, earning more money, only to see a significant portion of it go towards supporting a household they're no longer a part of, which can be incredibly demoralizing. It's like trying to fill up a leaky bucket. You can keep pouring more and more water in it, but at the end of the day, it's never going to stay full. Women aren't exactly sitting around secretly plotting to financially dominate the world. Instead, they are actively engaging in the financial world, making strategic moves to secure their futures. The reality is, women have become incredibly savvy at navigating the financial and corporate landscape, and also at leveraging certain advantages to build and retain wealth. For instance, let's talk about marriage. You know, that sacred institution where two people pledge to share their lives, their love, and yeah, let's say it, their finances. Marriage can be a powerful financial strategy. And when it comes to marriage and money, there's a fascinating trend even among the 1.5 top percent earners. Women are marrying, but they're marrying men who are even more successful than they are, which is a pretty smart financial move. This strategy not only combines income, but also leverages the financial acumen of both partners. It's like investing in a blue chip stock. You're betting on a sure thing. In the same Pew Research Center study referenced at the beginning of our video, the median wealth for married households in 2022 stood at a hefty $388,200, almost 5 times greater than the individual median wealth of a single man or woman, which indicates this approach provides stability and growth potential, much like a well-chosen investment. Women, due to their longer lifespans, are more likely to outlive their husbands, which means they're also more likely to inherit their wealth. This inheritance can be a significant boost to their financial portfolio. It's a morbid thought, you might say, sure, but purely from a financial standpoint, it's a pretty sweet deal, I would say. Inheriting wealth allows women to continue building on the financial foundations laid during their marriages. On average, women have 5 years of additional life expectancy. And this fact can be clearly seen manifesting in behaviors and decision-making strategies that women deploy in their day-to-day approach. For example, women are more concerned than men about meeting their financial goals because they already know that on average they will outlive their male partners. According to a recent McKinsey study, women are roughly 10 percentage points more likely than their male counterparts to say they are concerned about outliving their assets in retirement and having enough savings for their retirement. Health is also top of mind. Women are more likely than men to worry about the cost of healthcare, paying for long-term care insurance, and being, or rather not being, a burden on others later in their lives. But it's not just about marriage and inheritance. Women are also proving to be very good investors and financial planners. They are actively participating in the stock markets. They are attending investment workshops and using financial apps to track their investments. They're basically taking control of their finances, educating themselves about investment opportunities, and making strategic decisions to grow their wealth. As a result of this, according to a recent Warwick Business School study tracking investors over a period of 3 years, when women make investments, they tend to generate 1.8% per year better returns than men. Women are not necessarily risk-averse, but as with the case of mate selection and their sexual strategy, which is a topic for another day, also in investing money, they are often more calculated risk takers, according to UBS's Reimagining Wealth advice publication. They increase their risk tolerance when they know how a certain strategy will help them meet their goals. Finally, an analysis of traders by Capital.com showed that female investors use stop losses more often than men, with 43% of female traders using a stop loss in more than half of their trades, versus 35% of men. This is yet another example of how women focus more on risk management than men. This proactive and strategic approach is empowering women to achieve financial independence sooner than you might think. Compared with just 5 years ago, 30% more married women are making financial and investment decisions, and more women than ever are the family breadwinners, spurring growth in their investable assets. The takeaway here is that long-term financial dynamics have already clearly started favoring women. Their strategic planning and cautious approach to finances are paying off, whether it's through strategic marriage choices, inheritance, or simply a more cautious and informed approach to financial planning. Women are proving to be formidable forces in the world of wealth accumulation. As Forbes clearly put it just less than a month ago, women run the world. And by deploying the same strategies discussed before, half of American women are expected to inherit wealth within the next decade. At the same time, McKinsey states in one of their most recent studies that by 2030, so in just 5 years from now, women are expected to control over 60% of world assets. So I'll state it clear. Facts and figures show that it's been booming times for women like never before in the history of humanity. That's quite a strange way for how the evil patriarchs and gender pay gap all ended up working in the favor of women. Let's talk about consumer spending now. When it comes to opening their wallets and indulging in a little retail therapy, women are the undisputed champions. They control the majority of consumer spending, outspending men in virtually every category imaginable. Just take a stroll through your local shopping mall and you'll see the undeniable evidence. Women's fashion, accessories, and cosmetics dominate the retail landscape. It's not just about women spending money on themselves. Both men and women contribute to this massive spending power, often shelling out significant sums on products and services marketed primarily towards women. This spending dominance translates into something far more influential. Women aren't just content with dictating the latest fashion trends, but they also yield significant power over the media we consume, shaping the narratives we see on our screens and influencing our perceptions of, well, pretty much everything. According to a recent Nielsen study, women dominate television of viewerships across all time slots. You pick one and you'll be astonished. So they are the ones advertisers are desperate to reach. And as a result, television shows often cater to their preferences. Women's spending power translates into cultural capital, shaping our perceptions and influencing everything from the products we buy to the stories we tell ourselves about gender roles. That is why I think recognizing the influence women hold in a consumer-driven society is crucial. Next, I'll approach another topic that will really get the genie out of the bottle. Let's zoom in on a more subtle yet equally impactful aspect of this financial disparity: the unspoken rules of dating and relationships. Even outside the realm of legal obligations like child support and alimony, there's a hidden financial burden that often falls disproportionately on men. It starts with the dating game itself, when men are often expected to foot the bill. There's a long-standing cultural expectation, all across the Western world at least, that men should be the primary providers, even in the early stages of a relationship. This expectation doesn't magically disappear once a relationship becomes more serious, let's say. Men are often expected to continue this pattern of generosity, showering their partners with gifts, planning elaborate vacations, and generally upholding the image of the financial stable provider. Sheng-Hong Luo, a professor at Fayetteville State University, conducted a rather fascinating study that made its way as a New York Times article in February 2024. The study had examined 552 heterosexual college students' current practice and expectations for date payments for first and subsequent romantic dates. The researcher found that young men paid for all or most of the dates around 90% of the time, while women paid only about 2% and accepted to split the bill around 8% of the time. On subsequent dates, splitting the check was more common, though men still paid the majority of the time, while women rarely did so. Something more interesting also came up. Nearly 80% of men expected that they would pay on the first date. So what does popular culture have to say about this? Well, probably that men pay for dates and gifts because they earn more. But I'll say this: use your common sense and own brain to observe what is the social behavior when women meet other women for lunch. Never have I heard or seen any of them going around the table and asking each other which is the woman earning more money to pass on the bill to. Irrespective of their income level, they naturally accept to split the bill. So why would we use this argument for men? This isn't about putting men and women against each other or suggesting that women are intentionally taking advantage of this dynamic. It's about recognizing the subtle yet pervasive way in which cultural norms can perpetuate financial inequality and, to be honest, a form of sexism against men. This spending expectation gap in relationships is a real phenomenon, and it's time we started talking about it openly and honestly. So there you have it. Some of the truths about why men's wealth often lags behind women, even when we might be earning more. It's a complex issue influenced by a tangled web of legal frameworks, cultural norms, and self-limiting beliefs. Understanding these dynamics isn't about pointing fingers or fueling some kind of gender war. It's about arming yourself with knowledge, challenging unfair expectations, and making informed decisions about your own life and relationships. The truth, as they say, will set you free, or at the very least, it'll give you a better understanding of why your bank account looks the way it does. By the way, I'm very curious, How many of you have experienced any of the reasons I've mentioned in this video? Put your thoughts in the comments below. I'll make sure I go through all of them. That's all for today. Stay strong, stay healthy, stay curious, and see you in the next one.